Hello, live here on Facebook. I don't do this very often, except for with purpose and some fun things to celebrate. And so I am going to be interviewing, oh yay, Gretchen is watching. You're right there. You're my first guest. So here, I'm going to follow the instructions on how to add you. Let's see. God, surely it can't be this easy, Gretchen. Is it this easy? This is what I've been praying about. Just making sure I do this right. Yay! You're here.
Hi.
Boy, that was
It is
shockingly easy.
Yeah.
I did not expect that. I was going to do a whole intro and everything about your wonderful book.
Sorry.
Our Voices Rising. And yeah, just I'm excited to have a conversation with you about it. And that's what I've been telling people is it feels like we're having a conversation with you. It's very like easy to read. You feel like, and maybe because I know you, I can hear your voice. Like it's like you talking to us, which is really cool. And so I've just loved, I liked what Tamara said when she interviewed you. She's like, I thought I knew you, but I learned so many more details. I felt the same way. It was like, wow. Really? Yeah. I said, well, some of them were stories I'd heard before, but I was like, oh, I don't remember hearing that part of it or that piece of it. So that was really fun. For those of us who do know you, it's still worth the full read because there's just so many new details that were encouraging, inspiring, a little bit shocking or kind of, heartbreaking. And yet you always end up on hope, like you always do. So, so I think I mentioned to you that I was going to start with my first question of who of all the people, Gretchen, kept bugging you to write a book?
Melanie Snukin.
Girl right here.
Yeah.
I know. And it was funny because, you're not really like a self-promotional type. I mean, that's part of what I love about you. You just feel like an every woman that just puts her nose to the grindstone and gets stuff done when she sees a need, And so I know that there's probably parts of this that are very uncomfortable to say, buy my book, because that's not really who you are. And yet so many of us who know you, we're like, you need to get these stories down in print. And so what was it that finally kind of moved you to put aside your humility and just moved you to do this? What's your purpose in doing it and why now?
Well, I think it kind of happened, I'm going to say, not on accident. It evolved into what it is. I had listened to a book and I liked, Jamie Kern-Lima wrote a book and I liked the conversational part. So I listened to that and I thought, yeah, you know what? If I keep it like that, I think I could like writing something like that. And then another friend of mine was writing a book working with a collaborator. And so I started talking to the collaborator, Beth, and just love Beth, one of the best people ever. And we came to an agreement. We started working together. I thought the book would be like each chapter was kind of a different country or a different woman's story now I look at it, I'm like, I think she kind of tricked me. No, not really. But it was because of her. She's just excellent asking questions and putting a story together that's interesting. Yeah, I have a lot of stuff in there that wouldn't have been my idea, and I actually tried to delete out of there. And Beth and Elizabeth were like, nope, keep it in there. So I got vetoed several times.
Yeah.
So yeah, in a way it's a little strange, but if it furthers our mission and it makes people feel more comfortable working with us because they feel like they know us and can trust us, then that's great.
It's worth it, right? And every project starts off with you thinking it's one way and ends up being completely nonlinear, and you end up with a different product, but then it's like that's the product that it's supposed to be. That's what it was supposed to be. And God probably just had to hook me into it a different way to say yes, right? I could see that. I could see that. And what I love about it is it's even more than like when I was always bugging you to write a book, it's even more than I anticipated because it's very interactive. When you get kind of to the latter half, you're taking us through your process of like putting your values into words, putting your dreams into words, like all of those things. And then you're giving us space in the book to do it. I didn't expect like the workbook part of it. I was like, oh, wow, like I'm really going to have to engage and think with this one, but it was really good. And I ended up bringing up in conversation with my husband, boiling down my 3 values, which I hadn't really put into words in that way before. So I really liked that piece of it, because I've been telling people, easy summer read, super conversational. You'll be equally inspired, but also challenged. And yet you're so committed to self-development and self-growth. And you can see that in what you're kind of challenging us to do. And you don't have to do that part if you just want an easy beach read and you don't want to think that much. You can just skip those parts. But I really liked that engagement part. And was that part of what, did you say her name was Beth? Was that part of?
Yeah, well, when we met in South Bend, Indiana, and sat and talked for days, and she asked me, okay, so one of the first questions, like, okay, Gretchen, are you thinking like memoir, or are you thinking like self-development? And I went, yeah.
Both.
I don't know how you're gonna do it, but to me, you know, I'm okay sharing my story. I thought it was going to be my story of experiencing the women's stories, not like my story being 10 years old in Michigan, but that's fine. And I wanted people to walk away with something. I definitely value effectiveness. That's one of my values. And so I want people to, you know, it's great to be inspired, but inspiration is just like a fun thought unless you do something with it, and at least just some action. And I think that everybody is designed to do amazing things, and different things in different seasons maybe. But I love when I see women like growing into their full potential, right? Whether it's artisans or partners or friends or family. So
I love
exciting.
It's good. Okay, so two words that caught me as you were talking. The first one was memoir. So yesterday was the big launch. Today and in the next week, if you purchase, we still are giving out $10 coupons for Trades of Hope goodies, and it's only a $10 book. So you do the math. It's totally a great deal. But part of our goal was to reach some of those top sellers list. Will you please tell them your favorite top seller list that you made it on based on women's memoirs?
Yes, I didn't make number 1, but I'm fine with that, because women's biographies yesterday, it was Michelle Obama, and then Viola Davis, and then Are We Rising. Like, like 8 of the same screenshots. I just kept screenshotting. I'm like, this will never happen again.
I was just so impressed. And we joked that in the business one, you were number 1 and you beat out Elon Musk. I mean, there's some fun celebrations happening. And again, as you said, really the purpose is this exponential exposure for the artisan partners. And so I just wanted to help you toot your own horn a little bit. We're really
well, thank you. It was really fun, and it did way better than I ever would have thought. And because they're like new release lists, and we were super panicky about getting on those, and like the timing of the book and when it was first like available, and it was all this panic that went around it. A lot of drama actually, because I kind of learned a few things along the way, made a couple of mistakes, but that's beside the point. So, so there are new release, sales. And then there's this whole other category that is just like top sellers. And that means we sold, as many books as they did, but there's been 3 years. That's beside the point too.
Start small. Well, I also loved your focus on women in any season of life living out their potential of who they were created to be. So that's kind of, as I was reading through the book, I was like thinking to take this interview in different directions. And then I thought, you know what? Because I'm watching other people's interviews and they've been so great. They've gone in the directions they've needed to be. And I just thought, I really was impressed with and I think moved by personally as a woman who's lived in a lot of different seasons. I would love for you to talk to the women who will be watching this that are in different seasons of life, and how you were able to juggle those seasons with the passion that you have for, starting the orphanage in Haiti, for ending up going with Trades of Hope. And so I would love for you to speak from like kind of three different points of view. First, as an adoptive mom, because we have a lot of adoptive moms who, I have friends who have adopted, but a lot of adoptive moms who are drawn to Trades of Hope to becoming partners. And what's the connection there? I'm just giving you the three so you can think ahead, because I didn't tell you any of this. I'm just throwing this at you right now. And then as a mom of young kids, and you did have a homeschool season for a bit there too. And I know we tend to attract a lot of homeschool moms or moms of young kids that want to flexibly partner with Trades of Hope. And then finally, you were super bold about your faith, and even just kind of the journey that you've been on in faith. And we tend to attract women of all faiths that want to partner. There's something about faith in us that moves us into action. So I'd love for you to kind of share about those three seasons in your life, so that the women who are listening can connect, like, oh, me too, or identify with that. So.
Yeah, so I started Trades of Hope because I was looking at growing our family, right? And so, or not Trades of Hope, Three Angels at the orphanage, kind of looking into that, grew the desire to help naturally, kind of fell into it, and decided to stay there, I guess. But yeah, it was challenging. I would say I've always looked at it as a mom. You are guiding someone and loving them, hopefully, into being a strong, independent person that's fulfilling their own purposes. And I don't know that I clung to so much the panic that they won't be young someday. Like, I see women talking, I'm like, oh, like, I've always liked them in the stage they were in and kind of enjoyed that. And I always thought it was important that they were okay if I wasn't there. Obviously someone was watching them, but that I've kind of always been okay with it takes a village kind of mentality, And so I was lucky that I did have a lot of great people around me and a supportive husband in that, that did allow me to run off to Haiti left and right. And, so I know not everyone's in that space, but I hear women like talk about, it almost feels like they're sacrificing themselves. Like, I have to put 100% into this right now. And I don't know. I think you can do both. I think you can live out some of your purpose. And, now it's only Fritz and I at home most of the time. And he can feed himself, so he washes his own clothes. I really only have to take care of me, and then try and spend some quality time with my husband, so it's easier now. But growing, when the kids were growing up, I think setting boundaries was really important. And I really didn't learn that for a long time, I don't think. But I saw other people burn out because of it, because they were working so much, always on their phone, working, all weekend, all of those things. They burnt out and their families resented it. And so I really got good at setting boundaries probably 5 years ago, something like that. It took a while because it's so fun when you're building a business too, right? Yeah. And so starting something new, but I think that's important to be present, when you're supposed to be present and to be able to because it's a self-discipline of putting it away. Yeah. So, some days it's easy to put it away, but some days it's not. And you just got to do it.
Oh,
so I think that was good.
Good. Well,
where do you want me to go from there,
the faith piece. So talking about obviously being a young mom or those who've adopted, you're juggling so much, but it's still possible. You created this flexible way to make an income. So we don't have to fly off to Haiti because we can't, right? So Trades of Hope is this flexible way to get involved in the midst of that season you're talking about. What about your faith? Like, how did that compel you? Why do you see women of faith being drawn to Trades of Hope? What is that connection between faith and fair trade and faith and connecting globally?
Wow. I mean, I really believe that this was not God's plan, that babies are given away because their mothers can't feed them, and that people are literally starving. And, and I believe that we are supposed to be the ones out there helping them, right? I mean, so we were all together, reading through the Bible some this week. It's there over and over and over again. I don't know why. It's a question. So, and it's funny because I think the church in North America and in the US, I literally have heard pastors say that, oh, she's serving, she's setting up chairs at church. What?
Mm.
Like, in a way, I mean, you're a community, you're living as a community, everybody should chip in, that's fine. But that shouldn't tick that box, in my opinion. So I probably feel a little strongly about that. And probably because we're friends, I'm more blunt than I would
Totally
be.
get it. Yeah.
Who knows who's watching?
Yeah.
That's fine. And so, yeah, you know, I have some issues with religion, but I've never doubted that there's a God who loves us, who wants the best for us, who loves that, you know, woman in Haiti just as much as he loves me or you. And only, you know, it's just totally unjust that because I was born in the Midwest to parents who, you know, had jobs, always had jobs, worked, have never been hungry, have never worried about having a safe place to sleep at night because of where I was born. I've never had to doubt giving up my children, you know. I think that also bears a certain amount of responsibility. Absolutely. And definitely to me, I'm saying that in the book a lot, like, hey, I'm really lucky. I grew up in this really kind of boring household that I thought was so boring at the time. And now I just so appreciate it. And Fritz grew up in a very similar household in the Netherlands. And so we talk about that quite often. Like, we couldn't wait to get out of there.
And now,
you know,
we're so grateful.
Yeah, really grateful. And because I'm in a spot where I haven't had a lot of struggles that other people have had, that leaves that capacity, but also I believe a responsibility to step up and to, you know, and to see how we can make the world a better place together. And selfishly, it fills me up. I am happier. I am fulfilled. My days don't feel like they're wasted because the work that we're doing is so impactful. And we've seen that again and again and again.
Yeah.
So,
and I think you're onto something. And I do think I'm witnessing the church, you know, organized religion move from a place of, oh, charity, you know, charity's the only way, right? Orphanages, going overseas and letting the white Americans do the building instead of paying, you know, the locals to do it so they can earn an income and be involved, take ownership of their own stuff. You know, I think that the church is shifting to what you did already, kind of ahead of the curve of, you know, dignified partnerships. Like, we're not the great white hope going to rescue anybody. We're just using the responsibility and opportunity that we have more of to create space for them to empower themselves. And I mean, the minute I heard it 8 years ago with a friend at lunch, where she told me that her bracelets were made by women in India rising out of slums and sweatshops, I was like, that's genius. I remember jokingly asking the 4 founders originally, like, do you need a 5th founder? Because I just think this is such an incredible idea. And I'm mad that I didn't think of it myself. So great, guys. You created something and you didn't make it a brick and mortar store. You didn't make it just an online pop-up. You opened it up to women like me, who was on the other coast from you guys in Florida, that heard about it through a friend. And I've just been in for the, you know, last 8 years ever since. I just thought it was fantastic. So I'm so grateful. And I thought we'd end. I've, you know, heard people asking you, like, well, so what's the so what? What's the takeaway? What's the action step? Which you do give great ones in the book. So I might just leave them to go look it up themselves. But I wanted to read probably just a few 10 lines of my favorite thing that you wrote towards the end there, just to put it in your words, because I love, and they were a few of your big dreams. And then you have that space where you invite us to write our big dreams. And you said, and I agree with you, I dream of a world where every woman recognizes the power she has in how she spends her dollars. So the consumer, right? I dream of a world where people understand that business can be used as a force for good. And it's not a business isn't a bad word. I dream of a world where our partners at Trades of Hope outnumber the crowds of women who show up for Fashion Week in Paris every year. I loved the specificity of that. I dream of a world where we help our artisan partner groups build schools in their community. I know education is so much a part of your heart and part of what we love at Trades of Hope. I dream of a world where people are not sold and used for financial gain. human trafficking is one of our flagship issues that we care so much about and are breaking the cycle of. I dream of a world where mothers don't abandon their children due to potential starvation. And I dream of a world where women rise together. So beautifully said, Gretchen. And I'm so thankful to know you. The purpose that you talked about feeling, selfishly, is the purpose I've felt for the last 8 years. Even though I have the pleasure of raising 4 kids and I'm a teacher and all these things, Trades of Hope fills a special place that in some ways maybe I didn't even know needed filled as deeply as it did, right? But has been something I think about every day since I heard about it. And so I just want to invite women in who are watching this, who are curious about how to be a part of it. The flexibility is amazing. And we have women from all different life seasons, age groups, that have just been so attracted to our mission. And so this is an opportunity to connect with the founder and know she is a real woman. I've traveled to Guatemala with her. We've been at retreats together. She is amazing, and Trades of Hope is such an outflow of her and her daughter Elizabeth and the other founders and the home team. You get what you see is what you get, and it's been one of the greatest joys of my life. So thank you, Gretchen. Thank you for sharing your heart with us and jumping on here.
Thank you.
It's been such a blessing. I'm sure you are going to sleep well this week after all these interviews and all the adrenaline.
Good.
But it's been fun to be on this journey with you.
Well, thank you. Thanks so much for your, tenacity in your passion. And sometimes, when things feel a little dim, I'm like, nope, Melanie's still on it. She's still kicking human trafficking in the teeth. We're fine.
Good doing it.
And yes. And I love your earrings.
Good twins. You got the memo, right? All right. Love you, Gretchen. Thank you again for your time.
You too,
Appreciate
Melanie.
you. Bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye.